in case you haven't seen the most recent episodes of the Rising of the Shield Hero, allow me to, catch you up. We are introduced to Fitoria, aka Big Birb, queen of all the Filolials around the world, and one badass bird warrior. But it ain't all friendly feathers, as Fitoria quickly reveals her true motives concerning the Shield Hero, that, unless things change, she will have to kill him. Dang, and I thought Toga was the one who was crazy for blood. Welcome back to another Shield Hero video, as we take a look at second best bird girl Fitoria, and explore the philosophy behind why she wants to kill the legendary heroes to save the world. But before we jump into that philosophy, let's first introduce and examine her character in greater detail. And that means, for all you anime-only fans, don't spoil your dessert with this chicken. Fitoria might be queen of all the Filolials, but this mama bird isn't all happy-go-lucky like our adorable little Filo. She is rather unconcerned with the affairs of humans and demi-humans, and as such only interacts with her kind and the legendary heroes. In fact, the only reason she even acknowledges Naofumi and crew is because he happens to be raising Filo, and he's been a pretty good dad to future birdie queen. Did I mention that Fitoria, besides having a mission to protect the world, is also trying to find her future successor? Since the humans and demi-humans of the world have disappointed Fitoria with petty squabbles and fighting, she has long since abandoned both of them to their fate, choosing to not get involved in any wars or conflict unless it impacts the entire world. Unfortunately, the deadly 100-piece McNugget army is only available for a limited time, and a real dire conflict. Oops, sorry. Wrong restaurant. She's also been detached from humans and other inhabitants of this world for so long that she's lost touch with reality, even forgetting that humans can cook some pretty awesome food. Finger-licking good dinosaur right there. Fitoria's devotion to the world and not necessarily its inhabitants is so great that she's even willing to eliminate the legendary heroes when they don't do their duty and spawn more so that they will save the world. She's even protected the world on her own when the heroes have not done their job. All this being said, that's quite the extreme position to take. Why not just gather all the legendary heroes and make them cooperate by threats or something? It doesn't have to be death. Why make sure young Filo is ready in combat and as a successor, and even hurt Naofumi, the shield hero, to ensure this test moves forward? Why be willing to take Princess Melty as a hostage, someone who she actually likes due to her pure heart and affinity towards Filolials? And the answer all comes down to blood. Nothing seals resolve more like bloodshed on a promise, and Fitoria certainly made this pact with her former legendary hero master. Fitoria witnessed the end of her master and the heroes due to internal selfish conflicts and fighting, and in the hero's death wish, he asked her to prevent any more of these conflicts among heroes for the sake of the world. As mentioned, because of her absolute loyalty to this promise, she has tasked herself with eliminating the future generations of legendary heroes if they can't get along, so that the world can summon a new generation of heroes and continue the cycle, even if this means killing them without remorse. But it's not the only sense of blood we're talking about here. Fitoria has a deep sense of bloodlust, something that Naofumi and Raphtalia were slow in realizing due to her initial friendliness. And where exactly does this thirst for blood come from? Well, ironically, it's from her desire for a perfect world, a Utopia. Throughout the 20th century, many regimes have risen in their pursuit of seeking perfection and utopia, yet fallen in their delivery of disaster and dystopia. And while I could select any example, the best is most certainly communism. Communism did three major things in its promise of paradise, which ultimately led it to hell. 1. The regimes imprisoned and purged anyone who disagreed with their core ideology, especially intellectuals and religious groups, targeting any ideology or group that could stand in their way or cause discord. 2. The parties rarely trusted outsiders or foreigners, and usually only accepted communists and party supporters. 3. Communism held a moral superiority through its ideals, and as a result was either disconnected from or ignored human nature and the reality of the world around it, which, in turn, presented natural conflicts to its ideals and thought, leading to the aforementioned disasters. With these three elements, Fitoria embodies the same flawed logic that communism had in seeking utopia. And unless she can understand that there is no such thing as a perfect world, the waves might be the least of our heroes' concerns. Fitoria's devotion to her former hero master's promise and absolute concern for the fate of the world above all else is a way of seeking out Utopia. No matter what or who stands in the way of this goal, be it humans, demi-humans, even the legendary heroes themselves, Fitoria will stop at nothing until she achieves her master's plan of a world saved, even if it means enacting a bloodbath on these people. Much like the regimes of the past, Fitoria is so hell-bent on obtaining Utopia that she's even willing to kill innocent people and bring catastrophe just to achieve it. In later chapters, Fitoria was even willing to sacrifice hundreds of people to redo the world to make it perfect. This comes as she's ready to release the guardian beasts and let them gluttonously collect souls until the waves were satisfied. Besides her absolute bloodlust, Fitoria has only trusted Filolials and a handful of legendary heroes throughout the centuries, and while some of this is certainly a result of being scorned by humans and demi-humans, her elitism in this regard cannot be overlooked. The only reason she even helps Naofumi and crew defeat the dinosaur is because he happens to be raising Filo and she takes an interest in finding her future successor. But as soon as someone stands in the way of the ideology, even Melty, who she sees as a good person and worthy human due to her gentle heart, she won't hesitate to purge or harm them. Many Communist Party members were purged themselves if they did something questionable in the eyes of the Supreme Leader or ideology. Lastly, in her efforts towards perfection, Fitoria doesn't account for natural situations that humans go through which causes us to have struggle and contention in the world, such as the beliefs of the Church of the Three Heroes, or personal arguments and attacks on Naofumi by the other legendary heroes. Fitoria even reveals her own philosophy's failed logic as she admits she needs the legendary heroes to combat the waves, but her vision for the world can't exist with the heroes and people being human. Much like the purging of respected people under the communist regimes, the moral high ground Fitoria takes in her plans to kill heroes ironically plunges the world further into disaster. She even tells Naofumi that if you kill a single hero, the waves become stronger and harder to fight. In future chapters, Naofumi senses that Fitoria was once worshipped in the past, and that her indifference and even resentment of humans now came about partly due to people attempting to do away with her. After all, humans and the other inhabitants of this world often worship or destroy power and phenomenon they don't fully understand. And if there's one thing that was and is still most certainly not allowed under communism, that would be criticism of the powerful supreme leader. Fitoria's plans for a perfect world will ultimately fail in the same way that other pursuits of Utopia have, failing to account for our human nature and dismissing the notion that there is no such thing as perfection. This isn't the first time that the legendary heroes have fought, and something tells me, regardless of what Fitoria does, it won't be the last. All we can hope for is that she'll choose to understand human struggle and will pursue perfection without losing what makes us human. The only question is now, is it too late to put aside our differences for the sake of the world? Comment below, how will Fitoria change her ways? Will Filo help this? And what the hell happened to ITSUKI and REN? Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you've had your $5 fill up of Best Queen Chicken Fitoria, but if you'd like some more finger-licking good content and more philosophy on the rising of the chef hero, order below by subscribing. Or don't. Have it your way. Disclaimer, Truth Hero content is subject to availability in all provinces of Melremark, and this video is not responsible for you becoming a fat weeb, and not sponsored by KFC or any of its affiliates. Images and philosophies depicting Filolials and chickens are sole property of Truth Hero, and the relation to KFC are merely coincidental.